At a certain point in life, an individual begins to appreciate that the surface events, surface facts, the reality of the external world are all derivative results, with the causal forces and energies active on more subtle planes or domains, and creating from that place the physical forms that we respond to on the physical plane. The Mayavada holds that our fixation on the external world is an illusion, Maya, and it is our job, if you will, to transcend the illusion through focus on the ultimate reality that underpins that illusion. There was a famous motion picture in the West some years ago called The Matrix. In that film, human beings were wired into an illusory world where they acted, but in reality, it was a computer-generated simulation within which they were living. This is more or less a parable for the illusion that our daily life is based on. Another motion picture, Avatar, depicted an individual who was physically disabled due to war injuries and who was restricted to a wheelchair for mobility. He entered a program where his waking consciousness was put to sleep, and he entered into the body of another being in another world where he was free, strong, mobile, and able to enjoy life without the physical limitations of his physical body. When he returned to the physical body, he was back in the wheelchair. He eventually chose to live entirely in that other domain. In that case, the limits of the physical world were overcome by shifting the consciousness into another plane or domain or world, however anyone wants to define it. For the individual, the alternative domain was far more satisfying than the real world of the physical external consciousness. He also got in touch with the wider, universal, spiritual, creative force of existence in this other domain. Plato illustrated the distinction between the externally perceived reality and a deeper truth of existence in the metaphor of the cave. People in the cave thought they were experiencing reality, while the actual world was outside and not directly perceived by them. Once we recognize that the causal plane is our ultimate source of truth and significance in our lives, we naturally aspire to come into contact with that truth. This is the beginning of our yogic pursuit and our attempt to explore the inner reality that puts us in touch with this causal plane of existence. We turn our sight inward and upward, away from the external world and its impressions, and focus on breaking through the barrier that separates us from that higher truth. The Isha Upanishad notes that the face of truth is covered by a brilliant golden lid, and we must find a way to the other side of that barrier to experience the reality. Whether we call it a yogic practice, a vision quest, or a mystic journey, the path taken is into these realms, starting with the inner vision, to discover the ultimate truth of our existence. When one first enters the inner realms, one can be overwhelmed by the force of the vision or the experience, and thereby we can be misled by the intensity into validating everything we experience as truth. In reality, we need to be able to distinguish the different forces there, just as we need to do in the outer world. There are forces that are beneficial, as well as those that have their own motivations and intentions, not necessarily aligned with our best interest. It is therefore recommended to work with an experienced practitioner or guide who can help one sort out what one is experiencing and thereby help to avoid the worst outcomes. Sri Aurobindo writes, quote, "People value visions for one thing because they are one key. There are others to contact with the other worlds or with the inner worlds, and all that is there and these are regions of immense riches which far surpass the physical plane as it is at present. One enters into a larger, freer self and a larger, more plastic world. Of course, individual visions only give a contact, not an actual entrance. But the power of vision, accompanied with the power of other subtle senses, hearing, touch, etc., as it expands, does give this entrance. These things have not the effect of a mere imagination, as of poets or artists, though that can be strong enough, but if fully followed out, bring a constant growth of the being and the consciousness, and its richness of experience and its scope. People also value the power of vision for a greater reason than that. It can give a first contact with the divine in his forms and powers. It can be the opening of a communion with the divine, of the hearing of the voice that guides, of the presence, as well as the image in the heart, of many other things that bring what man seeks through religion or yoga. Further, vision is of value because it is often a first key to inner planes of one's own being and one's own consciousness, as distinguished from worlds or planes of the cosmic consciousness. Yoga experience often begins with some opening of the third eye in the forehead, the center of vision in the brows, or with some kind of beginning and extension of subtle seeing which may seem unimportant at first, but is the vestibule to deeper experience. Even when it is not that, for one can go to experience direct, it can come in afterwards as a powerful aid to experience. It can be full of indications which help to self-knowledge, or knowledge of things, or knowledge of people. It can be veridical and lead to prevision, premonition, and other openings of less importance, but very useful to a yogi. In short, vision is a great instrument, though not absolutely indispensable. But as I have suggested, there are visions and visions, just as there are dreams and dreams, and one has to develop discrimination and a sense of values and things, and know how to understand and make use of these powers." End quote. Reference, Sri Aurobindo and the Mother, Powers Within, Chapter 19, Occult Powers of the Subliminal, pages 151 to 152.